Let's take a look at another situation involving a chi-square distribution. And this is related to the question, are we able to see if there's a relationship between two categorical? And that's an important distinction, right? This here, being able to see if there's a relationship, meaning that, and like in this example here, we get some data. This is what we would call from a table, or a contingency tables, another way to think about that, or what we call that. And you can think of, we have groups of people who get a placebo, get a drug, 20%, and another get 60%. You want to test to see if it's good for preventing colds. And then you follow them. So what we're looking at to see, is there a relationship between categorical variables, these categories, right, that you get a type of drug or the placebo, and whether you get a cold or didn't get a cold. And how can we, looking at these numbers, determine if actually, right, there's a relationship, meaning that did the drug work, right? Is there an association somehow of the amount of drug that you take? Does it prevent you from getting a cold? And so that examination is called a chi-square test for independence, right? We assume there is no connection, right? That they're independent, they're not related. We assume that this category and then this category over here are not related. That would be the null hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis is that they're dependent. Somehow there's a relationship. We may know exactly what it is, but what we know is that there is a relationship. That would be the null hypothesis. And the alternative, is that there is some relationship. There is a dependent relationship, right? It's associated, or a connection is there. And then I put a little a here because sometimes you see alternative is with a 1 instead of an a. And so we have the same process. We go about through the same hypothesis tests, name the test. We have the same requirements as before from the chi-square test. Again, this is a chi-square test for independence. The other one was for a goodness of fit. And so I want to make sure you got that. And then the calculations, again, are a lot more work to do by hand. To calculate your expected value, you have to do row totals times column totals divided by grand total, and you find expected values for each of these subcategories, right? So you would end up doing that 6 times. Again, so you can see it's a more complicated way of doing that. But that's what a chi-square test for independence is, looking to see if there's a relationship between them, between those groups there. I'm going to run the test now, but I'll do that on a separate video so that we can show you how to enter the data and run a test using technology.